Hey, shocker, everybody. Big Pfizer owns the cable news hosts.
What?
Yeah, Pfizer caught funneling $12 million to Anderson Cooper to promote the mRNA vaccines to America. Pfizer has funneled a whopping $12 million into the bank accounts of CNN host Anderson Cooper as part of a deal to promote the company's mRNA jabs to the American public. They say they're toxic, but Kurt, you and I know the vaccines are safe and effective.
Yeah,
and
they slow the spread of hospitals being clogged up with horse-based victims.
Right. They're very safe. So that I don't. According
people went blind.
According to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., very few people are aware of the fact that Cooper gets the majority of his CNN paycheck from Pfizer.
I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware of that. 80% of Cooper's $12 million annual salary, roughly $10 million of it, comes directly from Pfizer, and that's according to RFK Jr. And he's worth every penny.
You couldn't get finer.
You couldn't get finer representation for your product. Anderson Cooper has a $12 million a year salary, Kennedy revealed during the segment. Well, $10 million of that is coming from Pfizer. So his boss is not CNN, his boss is Pfizer. And they're unashamed about it. They're unabashed about it. They say on his program, brought to you by Pfizer. Of course, he's not going to tell you the truth about Pfizer's products. He's going to try to sell it to you. He's going to try to scare the hell out of you, saying, if you don't take this, you're going to die. But just imagine what Rachel Maddow gets paid from Raytheon.
Yeah.
If that's what he's getting. And by the way, I'm getting really afraid that RFK Jr., if he doesn't stop telling the truth, he's going to die.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, what's his name? Danny Palachuk was at the show at that festival. He goes, look, all I want about RFK is who is his vice president? That guy's got balls.
So here's what they're talking about.
By Pfizer, making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
To be fair, Anderson Cooper is hardly the only mainstream media whore peddling drugs on his viewers in exchange for cash. Most of the corporate media are beholden to Big Pharma as a financial lifeline. Hence why the bulk of media commercial breaks these days are advertisements promoting the latest drugs. For many years, CNN's competitor, Fox News, has been pushing the latest pharmaceutical drugs in between media segments. Even though Fox tends to lean more conservative, or at least they used to, it is still paid by the same people that run CNN to report the news.
Jesus Christ.
So Fox News does the same thing. No wonder they could afford to drop Tucker. Am I right?
Yeah, their biggest show.
What this means, of course, Kurt, is that there really is no left versus right or Republican versus conservative when the likes of Pfizer is controlling what gets said. Whether right-leaning or left-leaning, all it really is behind is a smokescreen is one single uniparty pushing dangerous drugs on viewers. That's not true, RFK Jr. Raytheon owns a lot of it, too. Okay? The media in our country is an extension of the pharmaceutical industry, Kennedy said. 75% of advertising revenues now on the mainstream media are now coming from Big Pharma. And that ratio is even higher for the evening news because the evening news is where you see pharmaceuticals advertised. Now, we looked into this. I have to look into it again. Those numbers aren't, I think it's 75% of advertising for the news comes from Big Pharma. He's saying of all mainstream I think it's for the news. But anyway,
were you the one that said America takes 4 times as many drugs as other countries because they ever since they started advertising?
We're the only
on
country
TV?
in the world besides New Zealand that allows advertising of drugs direct to consumers on television, and the result of that is Americans take 4 times as many drugs as the rest of the world.
I always thought that was strange. Even way back when, I was like, well, don't you have to have a prescription for those? Like Dan Adam in the comic had a great one about when it goes, ask your doctor.
Ask your doctor.
He goes, shouldn't the doctor tell me?
Yeah.
Hey, I can't help you. But what about Ozempic? Oh, maybe that. How much did the commercial say to give you?
And no wonder they go after independent media so hard. If there's too many competing outlets, they can't pay everybody $12 million.
They can't bribe more than 2 parties or 3 channels.
One of the reasons Tucker Carlson was kicked off Fox News is because he started to break the script. Carlson started to raise suspicions about COVID injections, for instance, which is a big no-no when the companies that make COVID injections are paying your salary and keeping your network on the air. Starting to sound like a collusion theory or something over here. Isn't that what it's starting to sound like?
I'm no Rachel Maddow, but I think they're colluding.
The minute someone on a corporate news channel dares to start telling the truth, chances are that he or she will be encouraged to stop or else get fired. Did I write this article?
Yeah, what did you?
Sounds like this is, are they transcribing my show? Carlson learned this the hard way, but Cooper is still raking in the cash because he's nothing more than a big pharma puppet on the screen. Well, that is true. That is true. So there you go. Wow, that's a lot of money, that big pharma.
The bulk of his salary? That's a bit.
Of course. Of course.
But so that means, does he mean like they're paying it directly to him?
No, they pay it to CNN, and CNN pays him, but they buy the ads on his show.
What is the
and
ratio?
So I'm going to guess 75% of the ads on his show are from Big Pharma, so 75% of his salary comes from Big Pharma.
Is that the percent of the FDA that they also pay for too?
It's like that, yes. Like around 70%. Yeah, wow. It's one big corrupt system, and everybody and all the comedians forgot. I was watching another comedian. Now I love Wanda Sykes, and she also in her thing she did the "you're dumb if you try to get informed about COVID vaccines."
Well, I'm just shocked at the people who acted like they were really smart, and then they're like, "Oh, you read?" Like, I didn't expect that to come from
comedians. Comedians, you're not skeptical of Big Pharma.
I expected it, but the ones I'm surprised by are the ones that were like, acted like they did read. They acted like all the dumb hicks don't read.
Yeah, but now they shamed you for reading.
Well, also, it's like you're too stupid to be doing your own research. Yes. Even if you can read. And I know I'm too stupid. I just listen to what the man on the TV says.
That's right. So if you get cancer, you just go to one doctor and do what he says, or you go get 3 or 4 opinions, and then you have to get informed, and then you make the decision which doctors that you want to go with. That's exactly how it's always worked. But somehow when it came to COVID, I had that same argument with someone. I'm like, you know how medicine works. You're supposed to get a bunch of opinions. You get as informed as you can because you have to make that decision as the patient.
Yeah, right.
So people were literally during COVID advocating for medical patients to stay as ignorant about their medical treatment as possible. That's what they're saying because you're too dumb to understand it.
Yeah, right.
Hey, come see us live on tour. Be in Bakersfield, Baltimore, San Francisco, Huntington Beach, Rosemont, and Chicago, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Connecticut, and more. Hey, go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.